around. I'm gonna come on a little bit. I'm gonna take off the banner. That's the vertical one. I'm going to take the banner off. But for those that may not know, our conference will be convening on August the 19th and the 20th in the Atlanta, Georgia area. As a matter of fact, it's in Morrow, Georgia. Check out the flyer. It's also my profile pic. We are streaming right now in 3 places. We went ahead and just upgraded StreamYard. Shout out to StreamYard taking all our money. We just went ahead and just upgraded. So we're streaming to multiple platforms. Shout out to Facebook pages 1 and 2, my page, as well as our group page, which is now a private page, which is the Singles, Married, Divorce, and Deliverance page. Shout out to that group page. Shout out to those that are watching from my personal page. Hey, shout out to you. Thank you. I appreciate you for supporting your girl. And shout out to those YouTube listeners. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. That was actually one of the first channels that we did as far as ministry. It's still out there. That's the Spreading Truth Ministry channel on YouTube. Go check it out and subscribe. All right, I think we got all of that out of the way. We're going to post some more information regarding the conference in the YouTube, on the YouTube platform, which I have not done it as of yet. Please forgive me, YouTubers. We will be doing that so that you can have access to the information. And perhaps if you feel led and compelled, you can come and join us in the conversation, and we can fellowship, and we can give you some air daps and air hugs and all that other stuff, because we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We love you though, sincerely. Yeah. All right. So listen, we're going to talk about today tools and resources. Tools and resources. So I'm going to shift this. I'm going to take this virtual banner off. Then you're going to see my face. I'm not going to come on camera. Listen, it just takes too much energy. I'm back to work now, and I got a household advantage. Your girl tired. All right. So y'all gonna get radio voice Keisha on today, right? In these days. And I'm gonna try to come on camera as often as I can. So please forgive me. You're gonna get radio voice Keisha. Okay. Is that all right? All right. So listen, we're going to talk about tools and resources on today. Now, I believe there are certain group pages and platforms that can make comments. So feel free to make a comment if you're enjoying the content. We will be sharing some of our resources, meaning that I'm going to have to cite my source. Yep. I am one of those people that say it all the time, and those that are really into research, that do research, or if you're a researcher, you know those that have done writing, you've done essays, you've done research papers, you know the business, you know the protocol. Cite your source. And so tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of the sources that we use to build our content, to build our curriculum, to build our platform when it comes to the educational component regarding relationships and marriage. We're going to cite our sources on tonight because I want to hit y'all on some game. All right. I want you all to know exactly where I got a lot of the information outside of the Bible. Yes, we love the Bible. The Bible tells me. Yes, we love the Bible. Hallelujah. But there are other sources. Yeah. There are other resources out there that you can use and tools. So we want to hit you to the game. For those of you all, some of this will be, some reminders, and then we're going to introduce some new content. I believe a lot of new content to you all as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The first source that I want to introduce to you, for those that will be an introduction to most, I will be doing, I guess, a response to a video just to try to save myself from getting a strike on YouTube, because I'm going to be sharing a YouTube video because I felt like I'm a visual person. And so therefore I learn better when I see it. And then when I read it, it's all connected for me. I have to have the visual, it's the kinesthetic, it's what I hear, all of it together. I can learn better. And that's how I know my learning styles, and so should you. But anywho, I want to show the video. It is an introduction of this person that inspired me to learn more about emotional needs. Now, I want to say he is the pioneer in this. He is the one that coined the terms. Not only did he coin the term, his needs, emotional needs, or his needs, her needs. That's the title of the book, where he discussed in depth about emotional needs. But he also coined the term, and we hear that even in schools now, love bank, or they'll talk about the love bank in schools, even because I teach, I'm an educator, and I've been in schools where they've incorporated the concept of emotional needs and the love bank. And so he is the author of that. I believe God gave it to him. He is a believer. And so I want to introduce to you the individual that I stumbled upon. And again, I've never met him in real life, would have loved to. And I know that he's still alive. Shout out to him. I know he's much older now. He's a much older gentleman, but he is a Christian, which I do love. And he has a doctorate. I believe his doctorate is in psychology, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to watch a little small snippet or clip, just him talking about why he got into the field in the first place, the field of counseling, psychology, and all that good stuff, and what motivated him. I try to, I guess, share his story, but to me, there's nothing like hearing it from, I hate to use this phrase, but from the horse's mouth. It's nothing like hearing it from the source. And so that's what we're talking about. Sources, resources, and tools on today, because that's exactly what we're going to do. Because a lot of his work is a lot of work that I incorporate in what I do. And from his work, I share a lot of those tools to help out individuals, whether they're single or help out couples and that sort of thing. And so amazing, amazing content. I believe it has been life altering to everyone that I do share his stuff. Like, I bought just about all his books, in his curriculum, because he does have curriculum as well that you can teach couples and, and all that good stuff. So he has that as well. So I've bought that stuff, and it has been literally transformational. It has literally been life changing. So I want you to hear it from him. He's an older gentleman now. Funny thing is that his works predates the love languages. So this is what I'll do, just to kind of give you, again, a visual, because I'm a visual person, exactly like when these things came into play in terms of dating. Like I said, cite your source. A lot of people get inspired by our platform, right, and other people's platforms, but we don't oftentimes cite the inspiration outside of the Holy Ghost. And I really do believe that the Lord does lead us to these people, but the people and the work that God has given them is what inspired us, a lot of us, to do what it is that we're doing. So I want to cite my source and give him all the accolades and praise. I would love to meet him one day, but he is up in age, but he's still married to his wife. And based on this interview that I'm going to share with you, it is an interview that was made by another channel, which I'm going to cite my source so that this is all for educational purposes. My videos are not monetized, even though they can be monetized, but they're not by choice, because I really want people to really get the education, and that's my heart. I don't want to gain at this point in time, unless it's original content. All right, so for the purpose of this video, it's going to serve as for educational purpose only, and then we want to cite the source, right? We want to cite the source of the individual that is doing the interviewing, and I'm going to cite their channel. I don't know exactly all that they do, but prayerfully everything else is cool, but I like the video, so that's why I'm sharing it. Okay, so let's go to that. So first of all, let me take it a few steps back. I get so excited, but thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate you. If you haven't already liked this video, I know I've said something that you like. Go ahead and like that video. Go ahead and give me some hearts. For those that have not subscribed to my YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Let's do that now. Let's get all the preliminary stuff out of the way so that we can go ahead and share. One of the things that I wanted to say in regards to the love languages, I think most of us are familiar with the love language. I'll go ahead and share that. The book, The Love Language, authored by Dr. Gary Chapman. If he's a doctor, we say doctor to everybody, right? But Gary Chapman, he's the one that authored the book. And I just want to just share the date that particular book was published, because I think it's important that we know, again, we got to learn to cite our sources. What's interesting about that is Dr. Harley's work actually comes before the works of love language. So I'm just going to share the dates real quick with you guys. Okay, so as you can see, we appreciate the love languages. Come on, everybody, give a shout out to Gary Chapman. Come on, that published his book, The 5 Love Languages. We just thought the book was, and I actually purchased the book too. So we just thought the book was titled The 5 Love Languages, How to Express. We didn't know that the latter part of the title, which is How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. We just said the love languages, but it's a whole additional title to the title, right? But it was published in 1992. However, Dr. Harley's work was actually published, and I wrote it down, and I'll be more than happy to again cite my source and pull it up. But his first book that he wrote after doing extensive research was actually published in 1986. And so it's interesting because the Lord led me to Dr. Harley's work, which is His Needs, Her Needs, the book, and all of the books thereafter, after asking God a question, right? This predates the D&D conference stuff. It just me on my own personal journey trying to figure it out. It was after my divorce and just like me asking God, you know what? I'm not even sure if I want to be married again. Just having that honest, like candid conversation with the Lord, because the Bible says he desires truth from the inward parts anyway. And so it's no point of like lying or trying to fake the funk when it comes to God, because He already knows what you're thinking anyway and what you're feeling anyway. And so I was having one of those candid conversations after going through everything that I've gone through. Up until that point, I was like, God, I don't really know if I want to do this again. I know I'm a young woman, I have a lot of energy. I have small children. At the time, they were small. Shout out to my kids. They're now 18 and 16. Then they were young. Oh my goodness. They were super duper young. But anywho, and so I was like, God, I don't know. Right now, I don't see myself, getting married again. But if I did get married again, what information do I need to know going forward that I did not know going in? Now, that's a loaded question. But that's what I asked, because guess what? I didn't have a lot of knowledge going into the marriage. I really didn't. And one of the things that God really, when He started dealing with me, when I started doing my own self work, I had to acknowledge that. I mean, I felt that I was the best wife that I could be to the person that I was married to at the time, but I know I wasn't perfect. And I had to take some accountability, right, for the part that I played, even if it was the decision, right, the decision to choose him. Because in truth, just because he that finds a wife finds a good thing, right, he obtained a favor, right, from the Lord, but she has to accept the finding. Oh, come on, somebody, right? She has to agree. Yeah. Just like Isaac, right? His wife, going back, let's go back to some verses where Abraham asked the servant to find Isaac a wife. And one of the signs that the servant asked God was to cause her to agree. If she's the one, not only allow her to offer me drink and offer my horse drink or whatever he was, that he was riding, donkey, animal, but also let her be in agreement. Because how can two walk together lest they be agreed, right? And so we have to agree to go along with the journey as women. So we have a lot of say so in it. So what caused me to agree when I was proposed to, when I was asked to go out on the initial date? What was it that what was in me that accepted it? Where was I at in the moment in my life, in my consciousness, spiritually? Where was I at? So I had to ask some really deep questions. And, for those that are now divorced or those that are on the path to divorce or what have you, you really do got to take an honest look at yourself and take accountability. Yeah, they may have been a monster, they may have been the initiator, they may have been the main, but they weren't always the initiator, they weren't always the monster, they weren't always the bad guy, or the bad girl. They weren't always the bad person in the relationship. So we have to learn to take accountability. So during that process, as I was figuring out, as I was going through my journey to healing and all that good stuff, I started asking God some really profound questions. And during that process, He started leading me to some really phenomenal people in the area of the psychology and sociology in the behavior sciences. God wanted me to get a really good understanding because that's how I was looking for. So I'm very appreciative to God leading me to this gentleman. Now I'm going to share my screen and I want to introduce to you guys Dr. Willard Harley. Like I said, I've never met him. I would love to meet him. But let me just go ahead and just introduce him real quick, and then let me just share the audio as well. And then this is the channel that we're going to be showing. This is this for the purposes of my YouTube page. I want to cite the source. Shout out to Life Picks University. I appreciate her episode 139, 10 Emotional Needs with Dr. Willard Harley. Okay, so we're going to show maybe like a few minutes or so. We'll try to go through it really quickly. And then we'll continue our conversation in regards to resources and tools and sources, okay? But I'm citing my source. So this is a person from like a distance who really influenced a lot of the things that I do and a lot of things that I talk about when it comes to love and relationships. Okay. So I just want to shout out him. Now, this young lady right here is the individual that will be interviewing him. And so I'm going to start playing it. And you guys, I just want you to hear the initial question. And then I'm just going to be going back and forth because I don't want to be flagged. So y'all please bear with me. This is going to be worth the listen. Trust me, it's going to be worth the listen. All right. All right. Especially for those that are looking for answers. For those of you all that are single, maybe that were on the same path, the same journey that I was. Or for those of you all that are married that are like, yo, I don't know what else to do. Like, I need some type of tools. I need some strategies. I need something. I don't really know what else to do with this relationship. I don't even know if I want to be in this relationship. I really do believe that this video is going to give you some answers that you seek. I really do believe that. If you just have patience enough to listen. And if you don't have time, make sure that you watch the replay and like the video and give me some hearts and stuff and make comments. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's continue. All right. So shout out to, again, Life Picks University.
Now, thank you so much, Dr. Harley, for being here. You want to start by telling us how you got involved in this whole marriage building process?
Well, first of all, I started out with an engineer's mind. I was in computer sciences.
Okay, first of all, shout out to Dr. Harley.
A math major. Didn't take a single psychology course in college. And I was working on computers. One day I was doing work on artificial intelligence, and a guy from the psychology department came over. And I had written an article on artificial intelligence. And he said, you know, we'd love to have you in our department as a student. Would you be willing to get into psychology? Because artificial intelligence is about psychology. And we'll fast track you through and get your PhD in 3 years. That sounded like a great idea to me, and it was all paid for by the university. And so I became a psychologist, and people kept coming to me with their marriage problems. Okay, so my attitude about marriage is pretty simple. I was married. I'm in love. My wife and I get along great. We don't have any marital problems. And when I saw people with marital problems, I thought, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And honestly, I couldn't figure it out. So I had my PhD. I got into clinical psychology. I started running mental health clinics, and I did research into marriage therapy, and actually did a 2-year internship. I was supervised by the person who was the social science chairman of the University of Minnesota. What I discovered was that even though they were talking about having saved marriages in this program, they weren't saving any marriages.
I'm going to make this faster.
The director of the program got a divorce while I was there. So I said, you know, we got the blind leading the blind here. I'm not sure anybody really knows what they're doing. I had studied a lot of things about communication. I'd studied negotiation. I studied conflict resolution. I studied how important it is to be respectful, understand each other, and all that. Everybody that was being trained to do this didn't seem to help. Okay, so
let's pause for just a moment. I'm going to have to, because I don't want this video to be flagged on my page. Okay, first of all, so let me just situate this so that you all can focus more on the video than me. Maybe I'll put me below. Okay, so here's what I love about it. Number one, he wasn't initially in the field of psychology. Okay, that part. Because his mind is more analytical. That part I do love. And most researchers' minds are analytical. And so the way he approached the whole relationship aspect is just, to me, was genius. But I really do feel like God gave him that passion to want to discover that even though his marriage wasn't in trouble, he wasn't struggling, he yet wanted to find a solution, right, to the problems that obviously he was being exposed to by these couples. All right. So for those that are watching for the first time and you happen to be watching from YouTube, this is for educational purpose. Please go subscribe to this young lady's channel. We'll give her a shout out because I don't want this video to be flagged. I really do want people to see this video from on my end for those that haven't been exposed so that you can get acquainted with Dr. Harley's work. Okay. And like I said, his work inspired me, and it has literally blessed my life, and it has blessed the lives of so many people till it's just been phenomenal. All right. So let's continue to listen to his interview. And like I said, we're going to stop relatively soon. We're not going to view the whole thing. Trust me, we won't. Just enough so that you can get the gist of his why he got into this, why he wrote his books, why he got thrust into the marriage ministry, if you will.
What I did was go into my own research mode, and I was teaching at the time. And so I had my students who were falling in and out of love really easily as my subjects, and I studied romantic love. And so I began to say, okay, what is it that creates romantic love? Because from my perspective, always I felt what made my marriage great was that I was in love with my wife and she was in love with me. And I also noticed that in the clinics that I worked in, when people came in for help, they were not in love. And when they divorced, they were not in love. I didn't deal with a single couple where they got divorced where they were in love. And so I said, maybe I could save marriages if I could figure out a way of getting people to stay in love after they were married. And so I went to work on research on romantic love. And the students were great because they all knew what it felt like, and they knew what kind of triggered it. And so from there, I developed an understanding of emotional needs. I created the concept of a love bank. That when you associate someone with really good feelings that you get when your emotional needs are being met, you can fall in love. You make enough love bank deposits to breach the romantic love threshold. I worked out a whole vocabulary to express what happens when people fall in love. And so the question is, okay, now that I understand what happens, can I get people to do that deliberately so that they can get the other guy to fall in love with them?
Okay, so I'm going to let him finish his thought in just a few seconds, but I'm just going to pull up a couple of things from what he said already. Again, he discovered what he believes to be strategies that can help people to stay in love, right? He came up with a plan, strategies, if couples were willing to follow these strategies or the suggestions. And experience the outcome, a positive outcome of maintaining that in love feeling and making deposits into your love bank. And he came up with, like I said, it's a whole curriculum that's been established, vocabulary that's connected to the curriculum and lessons and things of that nature. This is what he developed as a result of his research. But what I find is that it's one thing to know what to do, but it's a whole nother thing to be inspired to do it. And he talks about behavior. And that's one of the things I love about the behavioral sciences is that we can train ourselves to do things that we would not ordinarily do. And I think a lot of people kind of make excuses for things that are not natural for them, but it wasn't really natural for a lot of things that you've learned to do over the course of your life. Now, God gave you maybe the innate ability to do certain things, but you had to be taught how to walk. You had to be taught how to talk. You had to be taught. So, and again, when it comes to those aspects and then every aspect of life, you have to be open and intentional. And that's the part that I'm really trying to get at. The fact that if you're intentional, there's really nothing that you can't do. If you're really focused and if you have a strong desire to do it, there's really nothing that you can't do. If you're really focused and if you have a strong desire to have an amazing marriage and to have amazing relationship or to be amazing in your relationship by being an amazing you, There's nothing that will stop you and block you. And can you imagine two people having that same mindset of being intentional in the relationship, wanting to be their best self, wanting to show up, wanting to give their spouse what they need on a consistent basis and being intentional? That's why he said initially that he didn't understand why couples were having so many issues, because he and his wife were happy. And that's what took him down the path of exploration, is because he didn't understand it. But a lot of us that are unhappy, sometimes we don't have the language, but there's definitely a reason as to why we were unhappy in our relationships. And so that's what I love about that too. This is a person that was in love, but yet inspired to find out why other people were having such a challenge with being in a loving, lasting relationship. Let's continue.
The song "I'm Gonna Make You Love Me." I don't know if you're too young for that song. It's very popular when I was your age. The basic idea is, yes, indeed, you can make someone love you, and I'm going to learn how to teach you how to do that. And so I became an expert in the mid 70s, late 70s, in teaching people how to fall in love, and I became an instant success. I was teaching. I was overwhelmed with people wanting my help, and so I quit. I went into full-time clinical work, and during that time, I taught a class on how to have a great marriage, and it was a 13-week class. And in that class, I taught people what I had learned about how to fall in love. And I was at a church, and the director, one of the pastors, recorded it. They actually gave me the recording for 13 weeks. I used the recording for my couples that I counseled, and they would listen to my course that I took. And one lady who was one of my clients decided to transcribe it. She wrote it all, typed it all out. And another one of my clients was a employee of Revell Publishing Company. He grabs this thing and gives it to his acquisitions editor, and His Needs, Her Needs was born. So that's how His Needs, Her Needs was developed. I was teaching a class on how to fall in love. And so the whole book of His Needs, Her Needs is basically how to identify emotional needs in marriage and how to make sure that you are providing for your couple, for your spouse. Now, let me tell you one other idea, and I'm just going to shift gears here. My attitude is that romantic love is a litmus test of something else. Romantic love is great. I mean, you want to be in love. If you're in love, you're never going to divorce. But it's a litmus test of something more important. And I call that extraordinary care. That in marriage, let me back up. I define marriage as a relationship of mutual extraordinary care. So even though I'm known for my love bank and I'm known for romantic love and all the rest of that, what's really behind it all is a basic philosophy that I have about marriage itself. And that is, when people get married, what they commit to each other is extraordinary care. They put each other first. They make each other number one. And you
pause. All right. So let's add some commentary. We have to, because that's why we say marriage is for the mature. Right. And we're introducing Dr. Harley for those that may not know. And the theme for this particular broadcast is Cite Your Source. And he has been a huge influence on what I do. His research has been a huge influence on what I do. His books and curriculum has been an influence on what I do. And I believe in it. And so what's amazing about like the things that he's talking about, when we really begin to line it up with the scriptures, and which I always do when I'm especially getting sources and resources to help people, I try to find things that will line up completely with the word. And, you know, the mere fact that he said that the purpose of marriage, right, is extreme care. Unfortunately, a lot of people get into these relationships, or they want to get in a relationship for selfish reasons, not for selfless reasons. And so, and because of that, we're not completely all in the relationship or willing to commit fully to the relationship. And because we're not willing to commit as a couple, as two people becoming one, and with the same energy, with the same mindset. Because we don't have that dynamic, we have a lot of the problems that we have in marriage. And that was one of the things that I discovered in my marriage. And it's also some of the things that I've observed in other people's marriage. And as I read his research and his books, I began to clearly see as to why we have some of the problems that we have. So again, marriage is for the mature. You have to be to the point in your mindset and ready to commit to doing, not just being, but also doing and expressing extreme care. And if people are not fully committed to that, then it's just not your time. It's just not your season. You're just not ready. But if you are in a committed relationship, that's what you did. That's what you said in your vows when you made them before the Lord, when you've made them in front of the cloud of witnesses, you promise to love. And so we're going to tap into that in a little bit when it comes to emotional needs. That's just a show of love and care. That's what it is. That's what love is translated. Because even the Bible says that if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. So it's not just love is in thought, love is in feeling, but love is what you do. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're committed to in and throughout the marriage. It's what we do. That's what shows that we care. Okay. So that's why I love his research. I really love his work. So I have to kind of go in there and make commentary because I don't want this video to be flagged. So please forgive me. I would love to play it through, but this is for educational purposes. This video is not being monetized, and please, by all means, go support the channel that I'm sharing this. She was able to get an interview by one of the people that I think is one of the greatest peoples on earth that God has used as an instrument to help plenty of marriages. Dr. Harley, shout out to him. And he's still out here. He's still alive. Isn't that amazing? This interview was done in 2021. His research, like he said, was done in the 70s. His first book was published in 1986. So that's just absolutely amazing. So let's continue to listen. I'm going to cut this off maybe around the 11 mark, maybe in a couple of more minutes. I'm going to cut this off, and then we're going to transition to tools, okay, and to sources.
You do this in two different ways. One is you meet the person's emotional needs. You fulfill that person. You make sure that person is happy being with you. The other thing you have to do is to avoid hurting the other person. And as a psychologist, I am all too aware of how people hurt each other. And in marriage, it is especially destructive because the person is at such close quarters. You're more likely to hurt your spouse than anyone else in the whole world. And so I put two things together. Number one is I want people to be in love, and you do that by meeting each other's emotional needs. And that's what you do when you care for a person in an extraordinary way. The other thing that is equally important is that you protect that person from yourself. And so I've written the book Love Busters that goes with his needs, her needs. The two books together tell you how to make love bank deposits and how to avoid making love bank withdrawals. So those two things working together help you become a great marriage partner. I will say that there's also the issue of negotiation. That's what got me started as a marriage counselor. I learned how to teach people to negotiate. So I haven't given that up either. I've written the book He Wins, She Wins, and it comes with its own workbook, and it teaches people how to resolve marital conflicts. Anyway, that's the overarching approach that I take to marriage. I want people to be in love, but more importantly, I want them to care for each other in an extraordinary way. I want them to understand that what marriage is putting your spouse first in every area of your life. And that is what my wife Joyce and I have done with each other for 58 years. We are still in love 58 years later and still counting.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to stop sharing right there. 58 years, still in love, still invested, still committed to putting his partner first. We have our work to do. So that's one of the sources that we use as a huge foundation to what we do, whether it's premarital, whether it's focused on, again, personal development, because it really starts with you. If you're not committed, if you don't understand your why for getting into that relationship in the first place, or wanting or desiring to get into a marriage in the first place, if you haven't done your work, your research, understanding the commitment that you're getting yourself into or desiring to get yourself into, and for those that are already committed, if you don't understand your marching orders, which is to put that person first. Can you imagine? Now, listen, God literally paralleled, right? Marriage, the natural marriage between a man and a woman, between the relationship with Christ and the church. Ask yourself the question, has the church ever not been first in Christ's list of priority? The church has never been last. The church has never been third. The church has never been second. The church has always been the priority. So the same thing in your relationship, your spouse, and it's supposed to be reciprocated. It's not the one spouse overdoing it all the time, doing all the work, putting all the energy, doing all the loving, doing all the caring, and then the person is just receiving. There's chapters in his book, His Needs, Her Needs, that talk about givers and receivers, and we've done conversations on that. For those of y'all that are connected to the group page, y'all already know, because we didn't already walk through the book, the content, the chapters, like we didn't already walk through some of this stuff. So for some of you all, this is relatively new. But what's amazing is when you really begin to think about God's construct, and I know a lot of people saying it's man's and this and that. No, it is a God's idea. Now, man has taken it and it's morphed and became all kinds of things. But the idea, the construct came from above. It came from above. And so God has given us the tools and the wherewithal to do it and to do it right. Now, oh, I'm back. Oh, I'm back. Oh, no, you're not kicking me out. Oh, perhaps you made a poor choice. We're going to continue this conversation. Oh, I'm back. Oh, no, the devil is a liar. Listen. So, oftentimes, and we talked about it early on in the conversation, accepting responsibility for your choice. If you've married someone who's unreasonable, if you've married a narcissist, yes, we can, till kingdom come, say they're such a bad person, but what was it about them that drew them to you? What was in you that made the choice, or what were you going through that made you select them as an option? I had to face the music too. So we really won't get to the point of breakthrough until we hold ourselves accountable for the decisions that we have made. We can't control what other people have done to us, but we can control what we decide to do. You understand? We can control in terms of how we move. We can control in terms of how we think. That part we can't control. I can't control what you do, baby, but I can control what I do. Okay. All right. And I can control who I choose to get in relationship with. And one of the litmus things and one of the questions that I've had to learn to ask myself, and here's the question, and this was deep for me. when I came to the realization that I really made some really poor choices when it comes to love and relationships. Are you ready for this? Can you see your spouse or partner or potential other being your father or being your mother? If they were your, could you see them being your parent, the person that you're dating? Would they be the ideal parent for you? If the answer is no, then please just walk away. I wish I had a siren. If you can't see them, especially if you don't have any kids, if you can't see that person being your dad or your mom, and you wouldn't want that for you, then why would you procreate a potential person like the person that you're trying to be in relationship with? And unfortunately, some of us have already made the choice, so we're in the relationship. So the question then becomes, well, I made a poor choice. How can I make it work? And I believe that through these resources and tools, I believe that it can be helpful, especially if you're both committed, regardless of, let's say, the person was not the ultimate choice. I believe that every choice that we make have consequences. And I don't believe that every choice that we make is the best choice that we could have made. We could have made a better choice. So what does that translate to mean? Meaning that if that person is not the most compatible to your personality or the most suitable to your person, there's a potential that there's somebody else that's more compatible, more suitable. However, if you've made the commitment to be in the relationship, you can still make it work. And just like Dr. Harley said, you can still produce that in love feeling, and you both can be in a happy, healthy relationship, but you both have to be equally committed to your care. And you have to prioritize your relationship and one another in order to make it work. Okay. So I'm going to share with you, I promise you all that these videos won't be too long. And I know that a lot of this, for those that have been following me for quite some time, this is kind of a repeat, but we're showing it in a different light. We're doing a little bit something different. But I want to show you maybe some of the sources that you can purchase on your own. And like I said, I'm showing my hand. I believe in citing sources. For some of you all that hijack people's ideas, that's not nice. That's not nice. You should always cite your source. So here's some products. All right, here's some products. Here are some books that you can purchase by Dr. Harley, Dr. Willard Harley. Okay, go to marriagebuilders.com. It will bless your life. Okay, now this is his ministry, him and his wife, beautiful couple, as he forestated. And this might be they said they were married 58 years as of that video. That video was done in 2021. So it's possible that they may be married 59 years, which is amazing. So they haven't missed a beat, still in love, never fell out. You know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing. So they have a whole program. This is a homestead. Like I said, there's a whole curriculum that he has produced as a result of his research. And here's some books: Buyers, Renters, Freeloaders, Turning Revolving Doors, Romance into Lasting Love. And then he has the combination thing with an online seminar. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of resources here. Defending the Traditional Marriage, the Concepts of Marriage, Draw Closer. And that's actually his wife co-written this particular book. Effective Marriage Counseling. Okay, shout out to all the pastors. Okay, for those of you all that is doing counseling, please buy the book so that you can help people out a little bit better than what we are helping people out. Because divorce rates wouldn't be 50-50 if we were doing the best that we can do in terms of information. Fall in Love, Stay in Love. Okay, most of these books I have. 5 Steps to Romantic Love. I have this one too. He Wins, She Wins. I believe in the art of negotiation. I believe in the win-win concept in relationships. I really, truly do. It's a phenomenal book. And a lot of these books that he has also have workbooks as well. And then I see now that he's offering some ebooks as well. So it's phenomenal. The workbook is phenomenal. It's good, especially if you're doing like a group teach on these things. It's good for everybody to get that workbook, and you can copy some of the pages and that sort of thing. And then of course he has the CD as well. All right. And then of course his original book, which was the His Needs, Her Needs. Now, what I love is that he has them also for parents. Okay, so because our children have needs too. Like I said, this is not just, for couples, but let me just take me out of the mix so y'all can see all of it. But it's also for children. Children they have emotional needs too, right? Just like they have love languages. We all have them. We're human beings, right? So it's not just for romantic relationships. The information that he has is not only for people that are in a romantic relationship, but also your parents have needs. And so his needs, the original one is his needs, her needs, building a marriage that lasts. All right. And then there's some updated versions of the same book. And then he also has the book in multiple languages for those that are all over the globe. And I forgot exactly how many languages, but I think there's like more than 20 languages that this particular book, His Needs, Her Needs, has been published in. Another book that I love is Love Busters. He talked a little bit about that. Protecting your spouse from you. Just like he said, it is true when you talk about intimate partner violence. The people that you live with are the people that can hurt you the most because they have some, insider, secrets. Like they know your uprises and your downfalls. Like they know everything about you. So oftentimes, especially when we get mad and we don't know how to fight fair and we fight below the belt, hit below the belt, and we don't know how to negotiate and that sort of thing, we can hurt each other. So he talks about, again, the love bank, and he talks a lot about it in this book too. And it will help you to prevent those busters, those things, those situations and circumstances that often hinder us from growing in love. And it literally subtracts. Like the more damage we cause, the more withdrawals are made. And I think those that understand the concept of a love bank, withdrawals are bad. Deposits are good. We want to and we talk about it in what the church space, we talk about the overflow, right? It's the same concept when it comes to our emotional needs. We want to be at a place of overflow. We don't want to be depleted. We don't want somebody to withdraw from us because it makes us weak. We want to be deposited in through love and care. Okay. All right. Surviving an affair. So he has books about that as well. And the last few books, Surviving an Affair, and then Your Love and Marriage. So there's so many sources here, resources that you guys can consider. And I would strongly recommend some phenomenal books. They're phenomenal. I love them because like he has a contract. I forgot which book in particular. I think it may be The Steps to Romantic Love, where he has the actual contract. He has several contracts in there for couples. So there's a lot of things that you can incorporate. That's what I love. I love things that are practical. It's one thing to be talking about it as an ideology, as a concept, but it's not reachable or obtainable. A lot of these things you can begin to incorporate. Even with His Needs, Her Needs, when you read the book, he'll suggest and advise what to do to be able to stimulate, those emotional needs. First, identifying them. He also has a questionnaire, just like the love languages. They have, the online survey that you can take to discover what your love language is. He also has an emotional needs survey, so that you can determine, at least what the top 3 emotional needs are. And then once they've been identified, again, your whole role is to please your partner. That should be the goal, because oftentimes people don't really know what to do. For example, since most folks are familiar with love languages, right? Let's just use that as an example. Let's say your love language is gifts, right? Receiving gifts that makes you feel loved and appreciated. And it somehow affirms you or lets you know that they care when you receive gifts. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your love language, right? Okay, so if your partner is aware that that's what your love language is, what is the goal? And again, it's not the size of the gift. It's really about the meaning behind the gift, the intention. It's not necessarily, you what is it? A big baller, big shot caller type deal where you got to, constantly break the bank to appease them. No, it can be the smallest things. It can be a card, right? But it's a sentimental card. You know, it can talk about a certain season or moment in time when y'all first met, the first words you said, the first kiss or whatever, and they're going to act like that gift was $1 million, because again, it's not necessarily in the gift, but it's your intention behind the gift, and that's what makes them feel loved. Okay, so shout out for all the ones that are, that's not my love language, but shout out to those that are. But anywho, if you're aware that that's what your partner needs, then you're not going to do the opposite of that. You know, and say, oh, now that I'm aware that they love gifts and that's what makes them feel loved, so I'm not going to give them any gifts, because, you know what I mean? Like, again, if you care for them and that's what they need from you, then you're going to give them what it is that they need, and you should be committed. That's why when we say in our vows, going back to that, right? When we said it before the Lord and we made these promises and we made covenant with our partner and we promised to love, but what does that mean? When you say you promise to love, that means that you promise to fulfill their emotional needs. You promise to give them, in terms of fulfill their love language. That's what you said. You may not have understood that, but that's in essence what you said, because again, love is what you do. Love is just not just the way we feel. It is not just a thought, but it is behavior. It's what we do. That's why he said, if you love me, you'll do, right? You'll keep. That's what the Bible says. And so I think most of us, and to be honest, like I didn't have all this insight. I didn't have all this knowledge. I really did not. I've acquired it over the course of years. So now that I have it, and I say this oftentimes, especially in relationships, and shout out to those that ask me questions about dating and being in relationships since I've been doing this. They said, is it hard to date people? No, it isn't. I mean, I know my intentions and I know my boundaries a lot more clear than I've ever in my lifetime. You know, ever in my life, I've never been so clear in terms of what I need, want, and desire. So I appreciate the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And I have the same expectations. I'm expecting for it to be reciprocated without question. And we're going in with that understanding. And if you're not committed to reciprocating, if you're not committed to care, then you're just not ready for a relationship, because marriage is for the mature. And that's pretty much all it is. So I'm just going to share that source. It's so much other things that we're going to share at another time, but for now, that's a lot to chew. So I really do hope that you're able to just take all that information in, and in your own time, like seriously, do your due diligence. I will share. As a matter of fact, can I post a comment? I think I can. I'm going to share the link for the products. Please, I strongly recommend. I promise you, it will bless your whole life. Okay, so I'm going to post this. It'll post where it can post. I'm streaming to 3 channels at the same time. If you haven't already liked this video, please do, and share this. You know, there's a lot of people in your life. Look, marriage is at this point, it's almost like 55-45 at this point. It's not quite at the 60-40 mark yet, but it's growing, meaning a lot of relationships are failing. And they should not be, especially in the church, because we got a whole Bible, and we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves, but we're having a difficult time loving the person that we share the sheets with. And we're having a difficult time choosing partners that are suitable and compatible. Okay, so that's why this type of ministry, and it doesn't have to be mine in particular, but I will say this: if whatever platform that you're choosing to follow, if they haven't done their due diligence, if they haven't done their research, if they haven't had training, if they're just doing it, you know, just for, I don't know, likes and shares and to become viral and to get attention, choose to follow a platform that at least they're passionate about it and they're really trying to do their due diligence and they're really trying to help people. That's the only thing I can recommend. If I'm not your jush, I'm okay with that, because I really do feel like that I'm called to somebody. Like, I'm called to help people, or the Lord would not have given me this ministry to help. So there are people out there that this ministry is supposed to help and assist and aid and help to heal and to facilitate an environment for deliverance and all that stuff. And I believe that we've actually had an opportunity to reach a lot of people thus far, and you could be that person. So we want to cordially invite you, and we're bringing this conversation to a close, to, I believe this is our conference. I believe this is number 6, or our 6th conference, that we have annually, and it will be in the Atlanta area. We have been to Philadelphia. We've been to Maryland. We've been to New York twice. 2020, we had to do it online. So we were all over the globe, y'all. 2020, we were hitting it. And this year, we're going to be in the Atlanta area. I want to cordially invite you to register and to come and receive your blessing. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got. But I appreciate you all for tuning in. I really do. We love you here. We want people to win. I don't want people to experience what I've experienced, which was a lot of heartache and break. And I feel like a lot of it was unnecessary. Let me be honest. But I did not have the skills, the tools. I did not have the knowledge and the information that I have today. And oftentimes I said to myself, if I had this, I know that I would have made some choices that I made. And that's facts. So that's why I really do believe God has called me to this, because I have such a passion and a drive to help others and to get the word out there. Like, I'm doing the work of an evangelist in the area of heart. You know what I'm saying? Because in truth, we won't have the capacity or the grace to love people if we don't love ourselves. And we definitely won't have the grace or the capacity to love the one that we're assigned to love if we don't love ourselves. So it always starts with us. And I believe a lot of us choose poorly because we do not have the right kind of love for ourselves. We don't have the self-love. And a lot of us were broken, or a lot of us were going through it, and we just didn't have the right mindset, the right state of mind before we decided to get into these relationships. And as a result, we chose out of brokenness. You know what I mean? We chose from an unhealed place. And that person was just a manifestation of what was going on the inside. Now, does that mean that people have a right to step on you and to harm you and to abuse you and to neglect you and to mistreat you? No. But you also have to understand why you got it in the first place, why you got in it in the first place, so that you don't make the same mistakes again, so that you can get the healing and the resolve that you need to move forward. And you can get the healing that you need in your current relationship, so that you can stop making them pay for what somebody else did in your past. So that's another element. Some of us bring a lot of baggage into relationships. And if we don't unpack, trust me, we're going to bring that into that relationship. And before you know it, that individual that's with you day in and day out is going to trigger a lot of that stuff that's unpacked. And you're going to take out your frustrations or resentment or bitterness or hatred to the person that's only there to love you. And it will create a whole mess. All right. So we're here for all of it. We just want to help. So you're welcome to come to the conference. If you cannot attend the conference, then do me a favor, like this video, share, do the work of an evangelist. Maybe somebody else that you may know, or someone that's connected to you or that's on your social media may see this, and that may encourage them to want to come out or learn more about what it is that we're doing. We do realize that this is an educational moment, but we do also realize that our family needs to get back into divine order. We're out of order, and that's why we have the issues that we have, not only within the home, but without. The Bible says that charity begins at home. If we're not hospitable at home, if we don't have love at home, y'all, how can we, whatever we have at home is being spread abroad, right? Because he said that charity begins at home and then it spreads abroad. So if it's the absence of charity and it's the opposite of charity, then that's what we're spreading. That's why we see a lot of the things that we see, the social ills, the shooting, all the stuff that we're experiencing today is because of sin. It's because of an absence of love. That's why we see what we see. So family, God's design, is in trouble. And so we're just trying to help. We're just trying to save families one person at a time. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. All right. So again, much love and appreciation. Thank you so much for liking this video. Give us some hearts. If you haven't already made a comment, I would love to know what you think about the information that was shared on today. You don't have to agree, but you can agree to disagree. And just like I say all the time, especially when I used to go back and forth with my YouTubers, please cite your source. Folks that don't agree, just cite your source. Give me your sources to why you don't agree. It's one thing to have an opinion, and it's a whole nother thing to be able to back that thing up. All right. So by all means, back that up. If I'm out of order, if I'm incorrect, please let me know, but at least back up your why. All right. again, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know what? Let's go out of this with some positivity, huh? Shall we? I like to pump up the music. Let's turn on a little something. We want to encourage the hearts of you all. We just got into this deep conversation, but we want to end this broadcast with a little bit of joy. All right, let's see. Let me try to find my song. I just had it. Hold on. Let me find a little something to bring it out. Anybody have any questions? I think people get shocked by these broadcasts. They're like, whoa, this is deeper than what we intended. All right. So how about this one? We'll end it with this song. How about this one? Shout out to Mary. To my girls. You know, we always be playing Mary in and out. Here we go. It's the God in me. Love you.